Have you ever heard of a place that simply ceased to exist? A town that didn't burn, wasn't flooded, but just vanished? Tonight we travel to a place forgotten by maps, a hollow whispered about only in the shadows of the mountains, the lost town of Merrow Hollow. They say that somewhere beyond the valley, past the whispering pines, and the old river road, there once stood a town so small, so quiet, that most maps forgot it even existed. But those who lived nearby, they never forgot. Because one cold autumn morning, the entire town was gone. Not destroyed, not burned, just gone. No smoke, no ruins, no footprints in the mud, just a silence so deep it felt like the earth itself was holding its breath. Merrow's Hollow was founded in 1889 by settlers chasing silver veins through the hills. They built their homes from rough-cut pine and shale stone. By the turn of the century, it had a single street, a church, and a general store, with a sign that creaked in the wind. The people were simple, kind-hearted, miners, mothers, a preacher who rang the church bell each dawn to mark another day of work and worship. Life was slow there, honest, until the storms came. The first storm hit in late September. A thunder like the mountains splitting open, rain that fell sideways, and lightning that turned the sky the color of steel. The river swelled and roared like a beast awakened. But it wasn't the storm that frightened the townsfolk. It was what followed. The next morning, they found the river had shifted its course overnight, carving a new path right around the town. The land trembled underfoot. The preacher said it was the Lord's warning. Others whispered about the silver mine, that maybe they had dug too deep, stirred something old that should have been left buried. 3 nights later, the storms came again, and that's when the stories began. They said you could hear voices in the wind, soft, like prayers, or weeping, impossible to tell which. Miners returning late from the shaft swore the air shimmered near the tree line, as if heat rose from the ground, even though the nights were freezing cold. Children woke screaming about faces watching from the dark corners of their rooms. And then came the dogs, howling, clawing at doors, trying to escape something unseen. But when morning came, there was nothing, only silence and fog. The last person to see Merrow's Hollow alive was a postal rider named Thomas Wren. He told his story once in a small tavern near Dawson Pass, and never again. Thomas said he rode through the valley just before dawn. The fog was thick, rolling low across the earth. He could smell the smoke from their chimneys, hear the distant clang of the church bell. Everything seemed normal. But as he neared the main street, the fog grew heavier, almost solid. His horse refused to move forward, snorting and trembling. Thomas dismounted and took a few cautious steps ahead. That's when he noticed something strange. The ground. It was warm. He touched it with his hand. It pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat beneath the soil. And from the fog ahead came a low hum, deep and mournful, like a choir singing from beneath the earth. Then, a flash. White light, brighter than lightning but completely silent. When Thomas opened his eyes, the town was gone. No houses, no people, no sound, but the wind sweeping through an empty valley. He found the church bell lying in the mud, cracked clean through, the only thing left of Merrow's Hollow. Thomas ran, leaving his horse behind. He reached Dawson by nightfall, pale as a ghost, and collapsed in the street. When a search party returned with him days later, all they found was flattened grass and the faint outline of foundations, like shadows burned into the earth. Even the river had vanished. Decades passed. The forest grew over the valley, swallowing what was left. But sometimes travelers say they still hear bells there at dusk, faint and distant, as though ringing from another time. And when the fog rolls thick through the hollows, it carries whispers that sound like names that don't exist on any record. Some say Merrow's Hollow never truly vanished. It just slipped away, folded into the thin places between our world and whatever lies beyond. Others believe the miners uncovered something ancient beneath the hills, a cavern where the air shimmered and time bent like glass. But no one knows. No one ever will. I once met an old man in those parts who said his grandmother was born in Merrow Hollow. He kept a small brass locket she'd carried as a girl. Inside it was a faded photograph, a family standing before their house, smiling, sunlight glinting off the preacher's bell tower in the distance. But here's the strange part. Behind them, in the photograph, there was something else. A shimmer, like mist caught mid-motion. And if you looked long enough, it almost seemed human. He told me that every year on the anniversary of the storm, that locket grew cold, as if touched by unseen hands. I didn't believe him then, but I never forgot the look in his eyes when he whispered, "They're not gone, just waiting." Some places die with a bang, burned, broken, remembered. Others, they fade quietly, swallowed by earth and time, until only stories remain. Maybe Merrow's Hollow was never meant to last. Maybe it was a reminder that even the strongest walls, the brightest lives can vanish in a single night, leaving behind nothing but echoes. And maybe, just maybe, it's not the loss that haunts us, but the thought that somewhere, out beyond the fog, the lights of that little town are still burning. So if you ever find yourself wandering through those old valley roads and you hear a bell ring where there should be none, don't look for the town. Just keep riding. Some stories are better left untold. This has been Wild Tales Storytelling, where history meets mystery and every whisper hides a legend. If you enjoyed tonight's tale, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories lost to time and the wild truths that still echo through the dark.